everybody, what's going on? Thank you once again for joining us on Loving the Skin I'm In. I am your host slash moderator slash troublemaker slash race car dealer, D. And we have the infamous throwing rocks Donovan Sadiq.
Wait, I'm throwing rocks and then running afterwards.
And then talking about, did I do that? As always on Loving the Skin I'm In, it is our duty and our mission to, for one, promote loving ourselves as people, and especially Black people, and being unapologetic about that. And with that, we like to tackle a lot of the issues of today, the headlines and things like that, and try to tie it into how can we be more loving to ourselves. So for today, we are going to discuss Mr. Colin Kaepernick, and specifically what we're going to ask or be discussing is it time to boycott the NFL? More specifically, is it time for Black people, including players, people who watch the sport, and anybody else, is it time to boycott the NFL due to how they are blackballing Colin Kaepernick? Now, as most of us who do not live under a rock know, Colin Kaepernick has been ostracized, blackballed, and whatever name you can think of, because he took a knee during the national anthem in protest of police brutality and the injustice that Black people go through in America. Now, he opted out of his contract, so he wasn't fired from or let go from the team of San Francisco 49ers. He opted out of his contract in hopes of getting a better contract. Well, as it stands, a couple of weeks as it sounds, to training camp, he is still without a job. And he's gone through, to audition or try out, I guess you can say, for various teams. And they said, well, he's a good fit, but we're going with somebody else who has, in a lot of cases, been less than, a lackluster in comparison to him as a player. And so here he is now auditioning, tryout, is that the right word?
Well, yeah.
Trying out with the Baltimore Ravens. And so they're making a decision as to whether they're going to keep him or not. If you ask me or hire him, I'm going to say they're giving it lip service and they're not going to do it. So here we are. What's your take on this, Donovan?
Okay. Now, I know people are going to get upset and stuff like that. And by the way, we had 20,000 people that watched our last show together.
Well, all right.
They liked our background. I'm very sure a certain person in the city, it was about angry Black women, and a certain person in the city probably did not appreciate my little jab, but I was just giving an example.
When you come up missing, I'm going to know where you're at.
Right, but I was just giving an example of angry Black women. Okay, so anyway, but in regards to Colin Kaepernick, I'm going to have to say this. I have no problem with the stance he makes, but when you make a stance like that, there's repercussions. Now, I love my people. We do this show because we love our people and any person of color. But you've got to take care of yourself first. Okay? So when it comes to my money, am I going to make a sacrifice for people I don't know? No, I'm not. Because at the end of the day, okay, he made his stance. Where are the rest of the Negroes supporting him? Because 70% of the NFL is Black. Nobody wants to mess with your money. Get your money first, bruh. Get your money first. So I'm not saying what he did was wrong, but at the same time, it was a detriment to his livelihood and his family. And now he's paying the consequences. And as typical, nobody is... It's like us doing this show. We're doing what we're doing, and we're putting out the information, and we're fighting. Nobody's fighting with us.
Right. Well, I mean, I do agree with you on that. The first law of nature is self-preservation. With that, he should have thought about his money, but who's to say he didn't think about his money? Because when I Googled his net worth, it said he's worth about $22 million, so that's still considered a lot of money. On top of, the guy has donated $1 million of his own personal money to various causes.
And how come these causes are not putting pressure on the NFL to get this guy working? And don't get me wrong, I got to correct you a little bit. He took a pay cut after they had gone to the Super Bowl. He had renegotiated his contract so that they could bring in other players to help them get to the Super Bowl.
So he's just an awesome guy, just giving.
Team player.
So yeah, I mean, but we also have to take into account that freedom is not free. And I'm preaching to the choir. I mean, you've given 25 years of service to this country.
24. Yeah,
Thank
24.
you.
Mm-hmm.
So that freedom isn't free.
It isn't free, but
somebody's got to
pay.
Somebody's got to pay.
Somebody's got to pay.
So looking at Kaepernick, perhaps he's taking that into account. You know what? I know me taking a knee against a national anthem, which is very racist. Mm-hmm. A lot of times, they never play the third part of it, which, the guy who wrote the national anthem was mad because slavery was ending, and he was saying, and I'm paraphrasing, you black Negroes, he probably said something else, but I'm being nice.
Right.
You will never have happiness or anything
as long as I'm alive.
I mean, pretty much. So he's mad.
Right.
And so here you are. People are pissed off with it. Let's call it like it is. A lot of people are mad, saying, oh, well, this is our country. How dare him, disrespect our flag and our country. And I always say this. Yes, I'm an American. My people didn't ask to be here, so I'm here. I ain't going nowhere. Just for you people who talking about you can leave.
We're an anomaly. Out of everybody in this country, we are the only ones that was forced here.
And then told to leave if we don't like it. So... But it's the flag and anything and everything under the flag was never written or for the benefit of black people. I'm just being honest. It never has been. I mean, up until the last couple of years, there's things in the Constitution that's been changed, like whether we're still 3/4. Right. I mean, 3/5 human and the right to vote and all this. So, why are we mad at this guy?
Well, I'm not mad at them, and people got to understand. It's a business. Mm-hmm. And certain businesses in the NFL, different teams, have in their contract written in. Did you know that Jerry Jones, not one of his players, took a knee because it's in their contract?
Right, and I read that the other day. He was saying, basically, I wish you would.
Yes, it's in their contract.
Everybody needs to stand.
Needs to stand, and that's a contract that you go into with your employer, and there's nothing wrong with that. But still, if you're conscious about blackness, Muhammad Ali, you got to make a stand and say, hell, black.
It ain't free. Look what it cost him.
Right.
It cost him in the prime of his fighting career, it cost him probably millions and millions of just everything.
And what ifs. Millions and what ifs.
Yep. So, and then to your point about the NFL having 70% black players, 100% white owned, you would think because their product, which is primarily...
Wait. Michael Jordan doesn't own a team in the NFL? No, I'm joking.
I'll say that because I stand corrected.
No. Michael Jordan's a basketball player. He owns the Charlotte Hornets.
I don't watch sports, but I know a little bit.
Yeah, but Michael Jordan, all right.
So the players are the owners are 100% white. Players are 70% black. Their product, they being the owners, their product are black men primarily.
Yes.
Wouldn't you think they would want to have the best interests of their players at heart? Okay, well, their people are getting murdered wholesale by police officers for nothing, not even next to nothing, but nothing. So let me go out on a limb and care about them too and say, I'm in support of you, Kaepernick. Yeah, I would that you would stand for the national anthem, but because you don't, and I know why you do it, I'm in support of that. Mm-hmm. So wouldn't you think the owners would be supportive of that?
Yes, but... Black people buy product, and unfortunately, Nikes and stuff like that, that is a commodity that doesn't benefit the NFL. Now, if you go to Jerry's World, because I'm a big Cowboy fan.
Yes, you are. Unfortunately. No, I'm just playing.
And a Raider fan. I love my Raiders, too, on the AFC, but I'm an overall Cowboy fan. Those tickets aren't cheap, and Negroes, in general, are not buying that kind of tickets. But we're buying the jerseys, $200 jerseys and stuff like that. We're commodity people, so... when you're dealing with that, it's like, what have I been saying for a long time? What are you going to do?
Right. So that brings us, or me, to the next question. Is it now time for black people, not just because I agree with you, what we going to do? Is it now time for us to stop giving lip service? Because one of my favorite quotes, I forget where it comes from, it says, along with getting angry, you got to take action. Otherwise, you're just pissed off.
Right.
So... is it time for black people and players and spectators alike to say, you know what? That's our brother. He's out there putting on the line for us. He's, perhaps lost his job, without a job. He's taken a hit. All to say, hey, police brutality is wrong. We need it to stop. So shouldn't we also, as you said earlier, join him in that? I mean, it's going to cost us something, whether it's 2 or 3, I don't know how long you spend watching football. I don't TV, but if it's going to cost you that many hours in enjoyment on a Sunday, I mean, isn't that a worthy sacrifice?
Well, see, here's the problem that you know and I know in the black community. We have all this talent. The NFL would not exist if it wasn't for that 70% of us.
And to take your point for it, let me ask you this. Let's say half of the 70% of black men say, you know what, I'm not playing. What would it be like watching that?
It would affect the NFL.
It'd be like watching paint dry.
It would be like watching high school football.
Right. So we know that. Don't you think the owners know that?
Exactly.
But you know what else they know? They know your last point. They ain't gonna do nothing.
Exactly. What's she gonna do?
They just talking.
Right. They're
not really, like you said, they ain't buying tickets. They gonna buy a jersey, but they're not really affecting our bottom line.
Bottom line. Exactly.
But if some of those players would say, you know what?
Right.
It's gonna cost me something, whether I get fined or lose some money, then so what? You know what I mean? So what? I think that's where really what it's gonna take.
But see, you got to remember, I have a wife that has like $300 weaves in her head and stuff like that,
well,
and she's on me. We have this house payment. The problem in the NFL, especially when it comes to the black athletes, is within 5 years of retiring, they're broke because they've got 7 cars, 4 houses, child support payments. They got a ratchet over here and a ratchet over here. You know what I mean? No. I mean, and that's real. And these guys are so immature. The only people making money off of these black athletes are the attorneys and the sports agents. And they're broke, but the attorney and sports agent get their money at the top. And guess the majority of sports agents are white, Caucasian men.
Absolutely. So, yeah, I mean, okay, let's just say all that does happen to an athlete in 5 years. Well, pretty soon, you're not going to be living in that gated community.
Right.
That even to this day, you might get harassed while driving into it. So you might be living on the other side of that gated community. You may not have all the luxury that you had when you had the money. So your chances of becoming that guy to be profiled or brutalized by the police has gotten that much greater. So why wouldn't you want to take the hit now, opposed to it happening to you for real? Like,
well, for me, if I was like a person like Colin Kaepernick, even if he doesn't get back into the NFL, he has opened a door to a career in activism.
Oh, absolutely.
Because Al Sharpton, he's getting paid.
Jesse Jackson took the money. Jackson took the money too.
Exactly.
They took the money.
They gave him a TV show.
They're like, damn,
radio show.
I mean,
See, so it's not the end for Colin Kaepernick, but a prime example of what happens to athletes is Terrell Owens. Greatest athlete. He's into himself. One of the greatest wide receivers of all time. He cried because his child support too high. He got too many women. He got too many children. He got too many assets and not taking care of all this other stuff. So he ended up broke anyway. So let's take that chance.
T.O. did it to himself.
Yes.
I mean, was one of the greatest players at his time, and some will argue even of all time. But all of those issues he did to himself.
Right.
But what Colin is fighting against is those things aren't. We're not bringing that upon ourselves. Like, I should be able to walk down the street or drive down the street without I'm a woman, and if I see a police officer and they're following me too long, I'm like, oh my God, are they running my place? Not that I don't think they're gonna find nothing. Right. They might be like, oh, we know who her daddy is.
Right.
But
right, Bolo,
right, be on the lookout. But yeah, so we live in that world to where if we see a police officer, we are on edge. Right. So, this brother is taking of all people, he's a celebrity.
Yeah, he took a hit.
He needs police protection. I'm quite sure they're not protecting him. And I'm sure he's okay with that. Sure. But any given time, some sadistic fool can run up on him and do something. But he doesn't have. They've made it clear we're not going to protect this guy.
Right. Well, I mean, I'm in pretty much the same situation. I'm over here, and
but you black belt. What is it? Dragonfly Jones.
Yeah, Black Belt Jones. So, like I said, anytime. Everybody, Google it. I'm public record. You can get my home. Yes, you're welcome to come over here.
You can dust off your iron fist on him, huh?
Exactly. I mean, all this training, I would love to put it to good use. So,
well, hopefully that never happens. But if it does, hey, it is what it is.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. I mean, cheap Ostaveris. I've been calling y'all now. But no. But you're bringing up good points, because if we could get to, that's our problem. When it comes to things like that and coming to a person who's making a stance for us as a people, we are so quick to drop $10,000-$20,000 in the strip club. I'm just, I know people that's like, oh, that doesn't. That shows you how ludicrous we are in what we think is a priority or what we should be doing. This guy's making a stand. Everybody should make that stand, knowing the numbers and the statistics that you just quoted and I just quoted.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and
I think the NFL owners would be like, okay, wait a minute, wait.
And then another thing, if you think about this too, with all of the talent and all the money that 70% of players have, how come they just don't go start their own league? I know Ice Cube was kind of trying to do it or something like that, but what if they did that? I mean, what if?
Well, and that would be a good idea, but they would be crushed by the capitalist economy.
Probably, but it would be more entertaining. They have all the talent.
Well, here's the thing. Remember, we had a Negro baseball league.
Yeah, but guess what happened to that, though?
Right. The minute that they let us integrate, it crumbled because guess what? As a black person, I'm not going to go to the old store that was owned by Mr. and Mrs. Cleophas Jones. For years, been in the neighborhood. The minute they let me go to Woolsworth, I'm taking my money over there.
Right. That, in addition to, you just got to know that, because there will be white people who would go to the game, scouts and stuff, and
to farm the talent out of it.
Yeah, I mean, we was having a good ass time at those games. You see all the talent is just lively, and so you just know somebody somewhere in a white organization was like, you know what? We need to acquire that talent. And that's what happened. And that's how Jackie Robinson came over. And then we took our money and our dollars over there, and the Negro League collapsed. Exactly. And that's what would happen because, let's say we did form our own league. This is just opinion. We did form our own league. Hey, dog, I'm not paying no $80, which is what you would pay at a regular NFL game. Hey, I need a discount. I need to hook up. Well, see, and that's another thing. To really kind of to my second point, we do need to change that because we know in the black community, and I'll always state these statistics because they're true numbers, and it's something we need to come to grips in with. If we're going to love the skin we're in, we need to realize what exactly we're dealing with. The black community now realizes $1.3 trillion annually. Okay, that's a lot of money. It says it's enough to make the 11th wealthiest nation.
Yes.
So that's a lot of money, but we give 97% of that back to everybody else, which means we keep 3% to pay bills and struggle.
Right.
Exactly.
Buy shoes. Right.
Right. So if we had our stuff together financially, then we would matter more to the powers that be, whoever you want to say that is. We would matter more because they'd be like, wow, those black people over there, they got their stuff together. They're keeping their money in house. We know if they chose to boycott us, it would make a difference because they have financial power to do that. Because I don't care what color you are, green is universal.
Yes.
So,
but when you talk about boycott, now the minute that Colin Kaepernick is out there, did you notice that the one person that is going to criticize what he's doing and his appearance was Vic?
Well, what's happening with Michael Vick now, though?
He's out of the NFL.
But he's trying to get a job somewhere.
Like coaching or doing something.
Some internship. And guess what's happening? The very same people that he was caping for and cooning for, I'll go ahead and cooning for, are now saying, oh, no, we don't want him over here. Right. He's a dog killer.
Yeah, he's a dog.
Oh, he's a murderer.
Which is not true because his cousin Ray Ray and Pookie were the ones that got caught on his property fighting the dogs. But that also goes back to the ignorance of black people. When you make money like that, cut your entourage, dog, and move on. But
you can't come over here killing dogs, okay? But to your point, career. It was not more than 2 weeks ago that this man was giving Colin Kaepernick advice. Oh, you should cut your hair and be more appealing and not be a threat and all this other stuff. But okay, brother, you cut your hair.
Right, when he had his braids and all that stuff.
You did all the stuff you were giving him the advice for, and you still ain't good enough. To quote Jay-Z, and even before Jay-Z made the record...
That's a good point that you just said.
Yeah, even before Jay-Z made the record, it's been said about black men, no matter how much you put into yourself, how many suits you have and nice cars you drive, you are still a nigga.
Well, guess what?
To them.
Forget Jay-Z. I'm not a Jay-Z
I'm not fan. Either, but
Ice Cube said it. No matter how much you try to switch, you still that bitch.
There you go. And what does Kanye say? You still a nigga in a coupe. You got a Mercedes Benz, to them you still gonna be a nigga. Not our words, but that's just the way it is. So that's
the reality of society that we're living in. My mother always told me that. You gotta play the uniform you get now. But Just because, okay, in our generation, it was about getting out of the hood, and you didn't want to stay there. It stinks in the hood, you know what it does.
Right.
And I was talking to my friend Laura Ann, and she was talking about like certain things that she experienced or whatever. Just because I'm black, don't assume that I know anything about the ghetto, which I don't.
Right. And yeah, that's a general assumption for people on the outside.
Right. Looking.
Yeah, they just feel like you're synonymous with the ghetto because you're black.
But there you go again. Once again. Just because I look a certain way in the society that I live, I'm always going to be associated as that.
Oh,
person.
absolutely.
Right.
That's what
that's how it is. That's reality.
And you think about somebody like Colin Kaepernick, who has two parents who are white by adoption. Obviously, he's black. So you would think of all people, he's got money. He's got influence. He's affluent. Of all people.
And very charitable. Very charitable.
He could have said, you know what, that's y'all problem. I don't have those type of problems. I'm in with white society. My family is white. I'm half white. I got all this
money. Take that ladder, pull it up.
That's I don't need. I would never have those problems. He could have did that of all people. But he threw all that away to say, you know what, at the end of the day, I'm a black man who cares about my black people, and if it costs me some green dollars, then so be it.
Now, I want to say this, and I know people are going to get upset when I say this, but you guys know it's true. Colin Kaepernick. Now, we know we have a problem with color in our... Colorism in our community. I think it's a damn shame that a light-skinned guy with a big 70s ass afro is taking a stand that should have been taken a long time ago. Yeah, I mean, and this is what I say to people who would like to have the argument with me about Colin. The brother is very awake. Yeah, very awake. He's not one of these people who, there's like a lot of sports commentators would like to say, I don't think he thought this through. Really? So you think the man just woke up one day and got conscious?
He knew what he was. He knew it potentially it would cost him his life. He's done a lot of studying. We always see him with the Panther T-shirts, Che Rivera, all these
subliminal messages that if you weren't paying attention, I mean, I would have told you in the military, get that motherfucker out of here.
So you don't think he knows that?
Yes,
and you also don't think he knows the history of the people that he...
And his struggle.
Right. The Black Panthers who have been framed and murdered and all kind of stuff. You don't think he knew that? Yeah. Of course he did.
Of course he did.
But again, freedom is not free.
Right.
And everybody wants it, but nobody wants to pay for it.
Nobody wants to pay for it, exactly. Right. Which goes back to what we've been saying. And you talk about this all the time. You got all these young, able-bodied young men that can't find jobs right here in the Inland Empire. Okay, I'm not saying the military is for everybody, but sitting here, ruining your life, getting a record, which is not going to make your situation later on in life any better. Not everybody in the military does combat. Now, if you want to do combat, you go right on ahead and join the Army and the Marine Corps. How many Navy personnel have you heard in the last 16 years of these new wars has been killed? Air Force folks that have been killed. I hear these. I had this one young person come to me and say, "Well, I want to be a doctor. I want to study to be a doctor or a nurse." I said, "Oh, okay. Well, why don't you just go have the ROTC over there pay for it at State San Bernardino or Cal State Fullerton or whatever?"
Right.
I don't want to go. I don't want to go to war. You don't put doctors in the front lines.
Well, yeah, no, and I can't even argue with you about anything military because that's your, that's expertise. I just know that, from a black person standpoint, I'll just give my father's example. He was what you guys would call a defector. During the Vietnam War, he was not going in.
No, he wasn't a defector. A defector is somebody who just turns they're gone. Okay. He was more of a conscientious objector.
That's what I meant. Conscientious objector, however you say it, what he said.
Right.
So that's what he was. Right. Not
like Donald Trump, like Donald Rumsfeld.
No, he wasn't conscious. Okay.
But 5 deferments. People that's what that was about.
But let's just even take their example. This country is more for them than it is any black man.
And they didn't even want to fight for it.
Right. But they want to tell you to tell your kids to go fight for it, But my father was like, this is not my country. I'm going over there to fight some people who ain't did nothing to me. So that, the average white person in America can continue having white privilege. But when I bring my black ass back over here, I'm still going to be discriminated against. I'm still going to experience racism. I even might shot shot by, a wayward police bullet for whatever. I mean, I'm gonna go through all those things.
Isn't that funny? He was saying that back in the 70s,
back
and that is still applicable to this very day.
So can we call him Nostradamus, or is it just, it's a trend? You want me, you see, and that's the problem. Mm-hmm. America, and for all you people who say I play the race card, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying America is all bad. I mean, I'm here because I want to be here. It's probably the best country to be in ever.
Let me cut you off real quick, but the funny thing is, America spends so much money propaganda trying to keep us here, because there's a lot of us that want to leave,
right?
But they won't let us leave because we are the economic base that keeps this country going.
But being black in America is rough.
It is.
It is extremely.
It takes a special person.
It does. And I went to watch a viewing of, it's called Resurrecting Black Wall Street this weekend at this museum, a black museum that has Soul Cinema every once a month. Mm-hmm. And they showed this film, and the premise of the film was that it could happen again as far as black people can be unified financially in every way, shape, or form. We just need to get back to that. But outlining how we got away from that, it wasn't our fault.
Right.
It wasn't even our fault that we got to that.
The system's rigged.
It's always rigged. We were vital. We had everything we needed in our communities. But again, white people hated on that. Were jealous. Were mad because they weren't getting our dollars, and they took every opportunity to dismantle that. And that's what they did. And those are the facts. So when people say, "Oh, well, black people they're lazy and they don't want this and they want that, they don't have unity," every time we tried to do that in America, it's been shut down from every way you can think of.
And they look for, like what Ido Benabizi does, people within your community that is willing to sell their souls and do their bidding. Jesse Jackson, Al Sharpton, these people that say they're for you. Do this. Oh, you're going to pay me off? Okay, I'm going away.
Right.
And that's what we are.
I mean, if you want to take it back to, Nat Turner and his revolt, in the 1800s. Mm-hmm. Who was it? Who was it that threw his revolution off?
Right.
It was a black man.
Black man. Mm-hmm.
So we do have that, and that's a huge problem. And it's not just
big problem. Like
with us, when somebody does it, it's not like something small, like, okay, somebody just over there snitching on Ray Ray.
Right.
It's huge to the point to where it dismantles Marcus Garvey's initiative to get us to go back to Africa to unify, to dismantle the Black Panthers.
Right. Malcolm X, all the FBI infiltrators that were black.
Right.
That did that, and kept tabs on. Okay, the nigga by himself, let's get him.
Right.
So
there you have it.
So as long as we've got that in our community, that's what's always going to be. And I'm not saying it's right. I'm not saying it's wrong. Or what I'm saying
is the truth. Though.
It's the truth.
It's the truth. I mean, people. This is the thing people don't. They fail to realize. The truth is not always fun.
Right.
Which is why a lot of times people stay away from it. A woman, for example, she knows damn well that to her, she looks undesirable in the dress. Mm-hmm. So what does she do? She go ask her husband, "Honey, do I look fat in this dress?"
Right.
She don't really want the truth, because if he says, "Well, yeah, I can see those extra 15 pounds you put on, it's going to be some hell to pay."
Right.
She don't really want the truth. So, I mean, the truth is not always pretty, but it is what it is. I mean, and again, as black people, like I said, I'm tired of being apologetic about the things that we want and the things that we go through. Nobody else is asked to run from their history. The Jews, if you think about what happened to them, and it's horrible. I will never say it's not, because it is. What happened to them didn't even happen to them over here.
Right.
It happened to them somewhere else in a different country. Mm-hmm. But they have more homage and more respect paid to them, and I'm not saying they shouldn't.
Well, here's my thing, and I know people are going to disagree. Oh, you don't know what you're talking about. I do have a history degree. The people that call
you're down. You got it from Acme Academy.
Right, Acme Academy. And things like that. But the people who call themselves Jews here are not actually Jews.
Oh, shucky ducky now.
I know that's opening.
Oh,
I mean, accepting Judaism is one thing.
Well, Whoopi's a Jew. Whoopi Goldberg's a Jew.
Right. Accepting Judaism. Sammy Davis Jr. was a Jew. You're accepting that, but people got to understand Judaism is God's chosen people. I got to say was, because He opened the door for everybody now. And the real Jews, historically, people say, you got all these people that are experts in history and bloodlines, you got all this DNA. The original Israelites look like you.
Oh, yes.
And they're in Ethiopia right now.
See, now you opening up a can of worms.
I know, but facts don't matter. But that's the truth.
Well, if that's the case, we can trace the lineage. Shouldn't I be getting some money or
Yes,
something?
you should.
Oh, okay.
So Israel is actually their land, and they were kicked out of there
Right. Well,
by people who profess to be Jews but aren't really Jews.
well, and then a lot of people are going to disagree with this too. But the black man is the original man.
That is true,
So,
too.
I mean, and that's just plain and simple.
That's
So-
been proven by Western European society.
Right. So, with all of that,
Facts don't matter.
no, they don't. People, it's like with the Colin thing. People say, well, he's being unpatriotic. Well, if he is, why?
Right.
Like, it doesn't, you could go to Google and take a 5-minute lesson reading the facts behind the national anthem and the things that have gone on with black people and say, okay, well, to me, he's unpatriotic, but I get why he's doing what he's doing.
Right. Well, Dee, can I ask you this? Are you with what's going on in our politics today, are you really surprised? You have a guy who is a reality TV star, who is president, 6 bankruptcies. The guy has no acumen. He has the mentality of a 3rd grader.
3 baby mamas.
5 kids by 3 baby mamas. And we can go into all kinds of other stuff. Draft dodger, so on, coward, whatever.
Hate monger.
Right. Racial... we can go all on
Sexual assault person.
Right, grab him by the pussy. I mean, I'm all for that.
Right.
And knowing all these facts and what's going on, are you surprised at all? I'm not.
No, I'm not surprised. And but if I had to have an element of surprise, it would come, and not really, but it would come more so from the fact that people elected this dude, because we know who he is. But that if you voted for Trump, that speaks volumes about you.
Right.
I don't care what you say. I mean, even to this day, this dude has done you name it, he's done it. I mean, from the time he's taken the oath to now, right. And you still have people defend him.
Now, I know we're supposed to be talking about this, but I want to talk about this because I want to get this message out. We have 20,000 viewers.
Well, go ahead.
The Donald Trump thing, at the least, is going to be obstruction of justice, which he's already admitted to. That's the least of the crime. At the most, it's Russian money laundering. At the most. Okay? Because if you're an innocent person, you're not going to be doing all the stuff that you're doing to cover all of this up.
And then got all these people jumping ship or being pushed off the ship.
Right. So I want to put that out there for people who don't want to believe it or not. But, until with all the stuff going on, you still got people that say, oh, no, it's our country. And look at all of his accomplishments. All he's doing is unwinding all of Obama's
He's
legacy.
trying to,
right?
Which he took a major, L a couple days ago when they John McCain gave him the thumbs down. That was, you know what? If I had issues with John McCain up until then,
no, you should still have issues with John McCain up until then, because notice he's got brain cancer now.
Oh well, shit! He's like, I might need this Obamacare. You crazy?
Exactly. And look at his numbers, and look at all of these. You're going to see a bunch of these Republicans come out. And they're going to talk bad about Trump. Oh, they're trying to distance themselves. But look at their voting record.
Oh, absolutely.
They are still voting. That's why I say people say, oh, Trump, he's such a hero. No, he's not.
A hero to what?
He's still voting the Trump line and what they want to do. So don't get, confused.
No, I just thought that was obviously, for dramatics.
Yeah, dramatic. And then, like I said, he could have killed it by not voting for the thing to proceed. Right. That would have killed it right there. But no, he voted to proceed.
All that time.
But he opened the door so they can break it down.
Right.
And everybody's like, oh, he's such a hero.
Right.
No,
I agree with you.
No, he's not.
I just thought it was an epic
cinema.
That look.
Symbolic symbol.
Yeah, so.
Get thumbs down.
Yeah, but no, Trump is, he in regards to Kaepernick, he also said, "Oh, well, the NFL owners know better to sign him, otherwise they'll receive a nasty for me."
Oh well, here's a guy who was an owner in the USFL, a failed league, and once again another failed business of Donald Trump making a comment.
Okay, but so to that point, let's just tie it all together.
Okay.
You're the president of the United States, which has black people to the tune of 13%
of the population.
So aren't you the president of everybody? And if you know that black people are being unjustly targeted and murdered by the police, and he hasn't said one, you tell me one word that he said about it. Oh, that's horrible. He hasn't said one word.
What do you got to lose? Vote for me, black people. Right. What do you got to lose?
Right.
Everything?
Right. He had them all lined up. He had
Marissa.
You name it. They were all, Steve Harvey. These had them all lined up to go in there. Here, the HBCUs presidents. They were all there. He's gonna get some money, and then he reneged on it. Yep. They talking about he told us we were gonna get this, that, and the other. And
nigga.
Exactly. He ain't did nothing, and I mean we knew he wasn't. But if you're the president of the United States and there's 30% black people in the United States, you know that we're getting murdered unjustly by the police, and we're going sent up the river to prison for stealing bubble gum or whatever the case is, or in a lot of cases stuff we didn't even do. You haven't said one word about any of it.
Devil's advocate. Obama didn't do anything either.
True, but true and not true. Okay, so if we're looking at it from the standpoint of, well, I didn't get my bucket of chicken every week, because for us, and I get what you're saying. So I have 2 points here. For us, we're like, you know what? And I agree. As the black president, black people should have had something. Should have
been a priority.
Yeah, and something tangible. Something. You know what? Damn, by the time I got my 40 acres in the Tesla.
I'm giving an extra $5 in food stamps to the black folks, and if you want it or not, so you can go on a Taco Tuesday or the Popeye special and get your 2 piece.
Because everybody else does it. Everybody, president, he's the president for the rich people. He's making sure they're getting theirs.
Exactly.
So if you're president, at least say, you know what, I'm running the country. Right. But yes, black people have been getting, they haven't been getting none of the stick.
Right.
So I'm going to make sure they get something. So, no, I agree with that. Now, if you really want to be technical, black people benefit under Obamacare.
Sure.
He did something for the black farmers, and, various things like that. But was it significant to where all black people felt like, dang,
No, because, and don't get me wrong, and you're on the right tangent, but like you said, it has to be significant to us.
Right, I agree.
Other people also benefited from Obamacare, Hispanics, the poor white trash, so on and so forth.
Yeah.
He needed to do something concrete to us.
Well, because people will argue, too, that he did stuff for the LGBTQ.
Took care of their community.
Who else?
Exactly. But, okay, let me ask you this. Where's the black lobbying thing in Congress?
What black lobbying thing in
Congress? That's my point right there. What black lobbying thing in Congress? We're too busy worried about weaves and strip clubs and things like that.
Well, and also, we are too busy worrying about fitting in the system. We're too busy worrying about people who don't want us around them or involved with them, other than taking our money. We're too busy trying to force them to accept us. Please,
yes, please, massa.
Let me come into your store. Let me shop with you. Let me give you this money without you following me around.
The more things change, the more they stay the same.
Right. So at some point in time, if we're going to love the skin we're in, we're going to have to start accepting ourselves and start saying, listen, we are all we have, and stop being apologetic about that. We're just going to have to do that. So,
right. I'm in wholehearted agreement. One person I want to give a shout out to on the show is, and I'm going to actually have her on the show somewhere down the line, is my little cousin. Her name is Kai Wooten. This girl is like 24 years old, I believe.
This is the one, the picture you put
up?
Okay.
Yeah.
What'd you call her last week? Something Shakur?
Yeah. No. That's my niece.
Oh,
Jazz.
Okay.
That's Jasmine with the big boobs.
Okay.
Yeah, that's Jasmine. But this girl's name's Kai Wooten. 24 years old, very impressive, very conscious. She wears her hair like yours. She with the afro things out and stuff like that.
I tack down today.
Tack down. It's wet. But this young lady is amazing in how she thinks. And, her mother wasn't really like that. And I'm thinking, where's this girl getting all this knowledge? But, she has knowledge of self and things like that. And she would be a great, great addition. So I want to give her shout out because she does listen to the show.
Absolutely.
And she did give you a great, great shout out about some of the stuff that you're saying. Because she was like, right on, sister. So a lot of stuff like that. So, we can go around and round and round on these issues, and we're trying to ferment debate because we know what the problem is, and everybody knows what the problem is.
Right.
But at the end of the day, what are you going to do?
And that's really where it should start and end. What are we going to do? Again, I just really think it's really understanding that freedom is not free. Somebody is going to have to do it. I mean, you know about wars.
Yeah.
There's casualties of war.
But here's the thing. In our community, you got these gangsters. You want to shoot up the community, but you don't want to pick up a gun and better yourself and the community.
Community that doesn't belong to you.
Right. It just doesn't make sense to me. And, and to me, that's the definition of a coward. You don't have to join the military to be a patriot or somebody in the community. But why are you going to sit there and sell drugs and death in your own community? Go to Koreatown and try that shit. Go to.
Well, they're too unified.
Right,
for you to
exactly.
go over there and do that.
We're not going to go do that. But us,
right.
Oh, we ain't going to do nothing.
Well,
anybody can come in our community and sell any product. We ain't going to do nothing.
But again, a lot of that is due to conditioning and the things that we've gone through, because we weren't always like that. We really were not. For whatever reason, just...
Well, Daddy Otis and Cousin Cleophas, they're in their 70s now.
Right, and they shake their heads because when I went to this museum when they showed the film, there was fortunately, not a bad thing, but older people ranging from late 50s to even 80s. They were there. They were the most represented age demographic there. And a couple young people like myself. We were there, but they were saying how they wish more younger people were there to get involved, because we had a discussion afterwards, how they wish the younger sector of black people would get involved, because like you said, they've done all that. They've taken the beats over the head so we can vote. And, not that really helps black people.
Right into jail.
Right. So can you imagine being somebody who's 80 in your 70s? You're like, wow, all that I've done.
Right. All these broken bones.
And this is what they're like, we've passed them the ball. Right. And they're going to fumble it.
And here's the sad thing. The ball skipped over our generation and went straight to the kids. And these kids don't know nothing.
And unfortunately, they have bought into the... I don't even know if that's a word. They've bought to the false idea that racism is going away.
Right, there's no problem
Things
here.
are going better. I say, look, honey, just because you can date a white man,
right,
or you can date a white woman.
From the time I was in preschool, I was always around white kids and stuff, so there's no racism.
I went to a predominantly white high school.
I went to Catholic school.
Right, and junior
high. 2 Negroes in the school, me and my brother, and we were there for 8 years.
At my high school, the one that you went to for like 2 seconds.
2 seconds.
I started the Black Student Union.
I didn't know that.
Yes, we did not have one. We did not have a Black Student Union.
I went to that school, didn't even know. I'm a black person.
And I'm going to give a shout out to Mr. Hughes. I don't know if he's still alive. I doubt he watches the show. But I went to all the black teachers, all the black advisors, the black, you name it. I went because we needed an advisor in order to have the club. Do you know Mr. Hughes, a white man, said I would do it?
Wow.
That's how we were able to start and keep that club.
What happened to the black teachers?
They were too busy. They didn't want to do it. If I'm lying, I'm flying right out of here. I promise you that's exactly what happened.
Wait, Sharon too?
Listen now, I still use...
I know, yeah.
Well,
yeah, she was probably having a baby at that time.
No, but all fairness, she was a teacher and she ran the jazz club.
Right, okay, yeah, so she was already busy.
Truly, I believe she was busy. But I can't believe we did that.
No, I'm just saying because I know she's active in the community, and
active,
and that would be something she would have jumped on.
Right, but I can understand her plate was full.
Okay,
but we had a lot of other Mr. Piper. You know what? Ooh, can I stand that Mr. Piper? Oh my God, he's gone on now. I would like to say I'm sorry, but
right.
He was a black man who just was not going to help us. Matter of fact, I tell the story all the time. I know we got a couple seconds, but in summer school history class.
What you doing in summer school?
My parents made us go because you're not going to just be hanging out. So I could have graduated early.
Right.
So anyway, I'm in school, got my test back from the history test, and the girl next to me, she's Hispanic. She had a B, and he gave me a D. And so we compared our tests. I did better than she did on the test. I said, Mr. Piper, surely you made a mistake.
No, I didn't.
Mr. Piper's a black man. Right. Now, blue-black is your doggone coat.
I love it. I love
it. So I said, Mr. Piper, you gave me a bad grade, and I didn't deserve it. Bob told the whole story. He pulled me outside. You know what he told me?
What? You didn't work hard
I gave you a bad grade because you're black, and then you're going to have to work harder in life.
What kind of logic is that?
Shouldn't you been saying, goddamn it, I know you got a D on that test, but I'm gonna give you a B because cards are stacked against you. Right. I didn't know what to say.
You didn't. You worked hard to get that B. You should get that B.
No, he said that wasn't hard enough.
Wow. I wonder what his wife says. That took you a second to grab down, but you know what I mean. It ain't hard enough, but. That's not usual. It happens, but we're gonna go into the second hour and talk about that. Like I said, 20,000 views last week. I'm very sure we're gonna get a lot more. Dee still has her show on Sundays at 3 p.m. Look for it on Facebook. I share it on the page. So in case you miss it, you can still check it out because it is archived. This is Loving the Skin I'm In, and we're not finished. We got a lot more to talk about. So
All right.
that was a good first hour.